So, is there any possibility he can play Sunday? Or?
Listen, he's still in the protocol, so until that gets obviously cleared.
How has Andre looked at right tackle this week?
Looks good. Looks good. Each day he's gotten better. He's really settled in. Had a good day yesterday. Expect the same today. So he's trending in the right direction.
With the uncertainty at wide receiver right now, do you feel you have to make a move in terms of a practice squad player?
When you say uncertainty, clarify. Be more specific, please.
I'll be as specific as you want
Yeah.
here. That Nelson Aguilar and Alshon are both dealing with something. So.
Right. They're both trending. I guess that's the word of the day, in the right direction. And listen, we know that in this sport, in this game, you got to play sometimes a little beat up. And both these guys are tough guys, and fully expect that.
What happened with Rudy Ford? He kind of was a late addition to the.
Just a practice injury. Something that we're monitoring day by day.
What kind of week has Ajay had coming in?
Good. Great.
As far as Nigel Bradham coming back, I guess that puts Gerry back in the backup role. What has he shown you over the last month? Nate filling in for Nigel.
What Nate has? Nate is he's been a solid contributor. I mean, this guy's a four-core team player. He's defensive. Been starting on defense. He's been in and out of different sub-package groups and things like that. And I mean, just a guy that has busted his tail. Has really helped us in many ways. In a lot of different phases. But it's great to get Nigel back. Obviously, it gives us more depth. Obviously, at the linebacker position going forward.
How much have injuries affected Alshon's performance this season?
I think injury, if you let it, mentally can affect anybody. But I think one of the things that I appreciate with Alshon is how he battles through it, kind of fights through, some of the stuff that he's dealt with during his career here. And so it's just it's a mindset, and you just got to block that out and you got to go play. Obviously, it's a little harder during the week, out there in practice, but you get to game day, you feel good, juices are flowing, and you play well.
Do you expect to have Jordan Howard then?
Jordan, until he is cleared for contact and until I get more updates from our medical team, doctors. Right now, he's still day-to-day and working through the individual portion of practice.
You're describing it as a stinger, which is a shoulder injury.
Be careful on how you word that.
Yeah. Well, it says a shoulder, and you've described it as a stinger, but isn't a stinger not really an injury? It's like something that happens to you. So I'm trying to get.
I've never had one, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
I didn't play much, so
is a
I
shoulder.
get hit hard. To get one.
Before you get your stethoscope out here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where's my lab? I got my lab coat and my stethoscope. I know.
But this is now a shoulder.
That's all I know.
He's been cleared for contact.
He can do individual
seems like it's
stuff.
Serious.
I mean, it's a tough injury. It's a tricky injury, and again, until I get more update and further notification on him, that's where he's at. He's progressing. He's trending.
Is it any more serious than you guys originally anticipated? Because he didn't seem like it was a big deal after that.
Yeah, I mean, again, everybody responds differently. Different injuries are different. I'm not going to speculate on the length of the injury, but again, I just until I get further notice on this injury, on this type of injury, and I don't know. Again, I'm just getting what they tell me. We're going to protect the player and make sure that he's 100%.
Has Ajay progressed to the point where you feel comfortable using him more than a couple snaps here and there?
He has. He's had a good week. Got him, mixed in with the offense this week, and got him, up to speed, and he's up on protections. He's up on the run game, so expect to play him a little bit more, possibly. Yes.
You have Boston Scott in both return roles right now. What'd you think of the way he played last week, and what's your message to him in those spots?
Yeah, I tell you, to fill in, quite frankly, on kind of a short notice for him to do both the dual return spots last week is a credit to him. Obviously, he had the one mishap, and we were fortunate there, but he's really filled in well and done a nice job, and it's something that moving forward that we just got to continue to work and continue to give him every opportunity in practice, to get better. And he's a young, talented player with some quickness, some explosiveness, and then on top of that, to be the backup running back, behind Miles last week, really. So he's done a nice job. He's done a nice job, and we'll keep him coming.
He's been more of a kick returner than a punt returner, from what I understand. How are his decisions in terms of when to catch it and when to let it go?
Well, I mean, you never want to catch the ball inside the 10. I mean, that's just sometimes the rule, on that. And listen, we got to do a really good job. I say we, myself, Coach Phipp, of just keep coaching him up and showing him and just understand his just awareness, out there and in that situation, knowing where you are on the field. And, obviously he'll learn from last week and some of those catches. But, sometimes young players putting in that situation, you kind of, I don't want to say panic, but you get in that situation where you just lose a little bit of that awareness, But as a guy like Darren Sproles, who's done it now for a lot of years, he's coached up and he understands it, and that's where Boston's headed.
When you were going through the run game plan for the week, how much do you factor in the likelihood that you will have Dillard at right tackle instead of Lane?
The whole week. Really,
Does
the whole
that,
week.
Does that make a big difference in the game plan running?
No. We're still gonna plan the same, and Coach Stoutland's still gonna detail the run game the same. We just have to apply that to Dillard and get him coached up there on the right side.
Doug, so Stoutland's the run game coordinator. Does that mean like Mike Groh specifically the pass game coordinator? Is that fair way to?
I mean, that's the black and white version, yeah.
And how has your relationship with Mike evolved over?
It's gotten a lot better. I mean, Mike, I didn't have a really relationship with Mike prior to hiring him a couple years ago as a receiver coach, and then really liked what I saw. Obviously in that role and what he did with Frank on third downs. He was part of the third down menu and things like that. And now being obviously the coordinator, where he and I are in dialogue all the time during the day, on the practice field, during games, and it's just gotten stronger. Our relationship's gotten stronger, and I've got a lot of trust and faith in him. And and as we construct these game plans together with the run game, a lot of confidence there, and it's been good.
Is he more in your ear during 2-minute? I think you just a couple weeks ago you gave him credit for some calls.
Yeah, because
is that similar?
It's very similar to what Frank and I did. There's aspects of the game plan that obviously he and I, the coordinator and I, we study the whole thing. But there are times when you get in the heat of the moment, like those 2-minute situations, where he's constantly feeding me the plays, where I don't have to look down at the sheet. He can look at the sheet. I can talk to the quarterback. So we're constantly having that conversation back and forth.
When you look at Seattle's defense, I mean, they're obviously not like the Legion of Boom like they've been in the past. What's kind of changed with them? I mean, they're not as obviously as dominating as they used to be.
Well, if you think back, I mean, they've obviously had some changes over the last couple of years, personnel-wise. They went through, some DB changes, secondary changes. Their front changed a little bit, and that's just the nature of the game. And so they've incorporated some younger players who have stepped up and made plays. They obviously went out and, Michael Kendricks is now there, and obviously, Clowney's there, and so they've added some pieces to that defense that have made them a really good, sound defense. I mean, it's a very similar style to what we've seen, already this year, and yet they're using their personnel in a way that they don't sub a lot of guys. They don't go nickel and dime, and they constantly stay pretty much in one personnel group, and it makes it tough. It makes it challenging because they can obviously put more guys in the box to stop the run, and then they got 2 really good young corners, and the safeties are aggressive players, and so it's a good sound defense, and they've been opportunistic. You watch the tape, and they're creating turnovers for their offense, and that's obviously some of the strengths that they've had and they've possessed here in the last couple of games.
I'm guessing that you probably last week had wanted to use Miles a little more in the passing game, and Bill kind of took him away to a certain degree. What did he do, and what can you do going forward to kind of, prevent that?
Yeah, and they did a nice job, whether it was a linebacker, a safety, a nickel back, on Miles. They obviously had had a plan for that. We expected that. You know, we can do things. We can empty the backfield more with Miles. I think he's getting a little more comfortable in some of the route combinations and concepts that, you know, we're introducing to him. Motions, things like that with him. However, we can, you know, move the back from side to side and maybe get him matched up on a linebacker now as opposed to a DB. There's ways of doing that to help. You know, we can put him in bunches and stacks and, you know, different formations. But, you know, it's a credit, I think, to where Miles has come, you know, for him to kind of gain that type of respect, you know, from defenses, and he'll continue to see that moving forward.
Over the years, Andy has been kind of honest that he wanted Russell here back in 2012. Can you remember anything about that process, about his interest, your interest in Russell?
Yeah, obviously, you know, I went to Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin, worked out Russell as the quarterback coach here, and it's the first time I met him. Had a great day with him, spent some time, and really it wasn't so much the workout and watching him throw and putting him through some of the throws that we were doing at the time, but it's when I got him in the classroom. It's when I got him and just had a chance to go to lunch with him and just talk to him as a person, and that's where you really, for me anyway, where I knew this kid was going to be a special player in this league, and he's a great, tremendous leader. You know, he's not one of these players that, you know, especially back then where, you know, it's all about him or whatever. He, you know, not a big ego guy, and just real humble at the time, and you know, so I came back, and obviously, you know, that was the report, and felt like if we had an opportunity that he was going to be the guy that we could possibly, you know, draft at that time, and obviously Seattle moved up and grabbed him. But yeah, we liked him, you know, and I think we ended up getting Nick Foles, which worked out for us as well.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks.